We're here with Sergio Lopez. Sergio has a really interesting career and a really interesting job, and I'm really interested, Sergio, in your outlook in terms of the field you become so expert in, and where do you think it goes in the future? We're here at a conference called Techonomy, put on by the Worth Media Group, and all we're hearing and talking about today is AI and its impact on everything. So let's get into it. Sergio, you were born a small child, I believe, in España.
In España, yes. I was born in Spain, the place where it's the antithesis of artificial intelligence. It's where the place where natural stupidity was born. Very creative, cultural, fantastic place.
And what was your career path? You go to school in Spain?
I had a quite unique career path. For a very young age, since I was 5, I was kind of like a misfit. I was very curious and I like creating things. I was fascinated by television, both technology and the side of television. I got fascinated a few years later about programming. So
Computer programming?
Computer programming. And that every single technology, every single thing opened new doors to the possibilities. And I started connecting the dots. So television and technology, I started learning things like motion graphics and typography. I got into music, producing music videos. So I just like the world of creativity and media.
But that's an unusual combination of the interest in technology and in the creative.
Yeah.
But serves you well because now all creative is being aided and abetted by technology.
Yeah, it's like what I have to be very thankful to 3 things that I seem to enjoy doing that seem to be very difficult to find in people. And I recognize now as a leader when I try, it's very difficult to find people that are interested in creativity, technology, and business.
Yes.
People that are in creativity, some of them tend to embrace, especially in the new generation's technology, but they see business as a dirty word.
Yes.
Andy Warhol was the first person that and he was very open about how much he enjoyed the business of creativity. And there is something fascinating about it. Because it's non-measurable, it's very guttural, it's very instinctive. And same thing about technology, like technology and creativity, sometimes they seem to fight each other.
And so did you go to university in Spain?
I was registered in university. I used to go to the university parties. I went to a few days in college. And I started working in advertising when I was 16.
Wow.
So I was doing high school and studying. And I did well in high school, but once I go into college, I was having such a great time, such momentum.
It was hard to tear away to go to class?
Yeah, and I was lucky to be working with what back then was the leading creative talent in Spain. And it was more challenging.
Was it in an agency environment?
Agency, yeah. And I got lucky enough to start winning awards at a very young age, being exposed to a lot of different things. So I focused on my career instead of...
And then in that stage of your career, you were all on the creative side?
I was mostly the creative side.
Yeah.
Creative production. I was a good partner to the creatives on bringing that. I think it was a combination of creativity and bravado.
Well, you need some of that.
Where I was one of the few crazy people that when a creative had a wild idea, I was very much like, yeah, of course we can do it.
Yeah.
We'll find a way to get it done.
And so how did you then transition? What happened to that agency? Where did your career take you next?
After that agency, I opened my own business.
In Madrid?
In Madrid, when I was 21, started doing services for clients and agencies. At some point, I learned what running a small business was.
How much fun it can be.
How much fun it can be to be payroll, how well and on time all the clients pay. And
what do you mean I need insurance?
And things that by the time I was 22, 23, which is when I had that business,
yeah,
it was growing and expanding and becoming significant enough that I thought, I actually don't enjoy that part. I enjoy the other part. And I went back to the agency world. Once again, I was fortunate enough to work with good people and do well. And I was brought to the United States by the agency that I was working. It was called Lee Burnett.
Sure.
So
storied business based in Chicago, right?
Based in Chicago. So I went from the Madrid office to Chicago and then just started my career here in the States.
And always stayed in the agency world then?
Mostly, yes.
So now you work for one of the biggest agency holding companies in the world, but you're in a part of the agency world that's different than most. I think it's a really interesting world you're in. We're here in an event. You know something about events. How did you learn the event business? Was it through the creative side again?
I mean, even though we call it the creative side, the creative side is attached to a part called the production side, or we used to call it production. That production side has evolved over the last few years into content experience, or what the relationship between the brands and the consumer is in the last mile, in what they see. Right? It's not about brand positioning. It's not about a strategy. It is what is the representation of that strategy and creative, and how do we connect with people? So production is not about just shooting something on video. It's what is everything in the content supply chain, what is all about into that relationship between the brand in film, in television, in digital platforms, experiential, across all the things. And you learn it because there's a lot of transferable expertise at the end of the day.
So in your division, Omnicom Productions, what do you have in there? What mix of products and services do you have?
So the way we've shaped it is the connector between what a creative agency does, which is strategy and brand positioning, coming out with a big idea. And all the amazing things that now we can do in media on serving personalized content, optimizing. There is an in-between a gap that we feel where we get that idea and we amplify it into all the channels and all the markets. Most of our brands are global brands. So cultural relevance across markets is very important. Audiences and being platform specific, the balance between social media platforms, TV platforms. So we do that, what we call amplification creative.
Amplification creative.
Amplification creative. We execute it. We make sure ways to do it. And we have a methodology that saves our clients between 10 and 20% of their production spend. And we work with some of the world's best brands. We just in the Interbrand ranking with 60 of the top 100. We know how to bring quality, and I can talk about quality, and then serve it in a way that plug into all the things that media does, so we can personalize on it.
So as a consumer of media, we see that the real value in the last 4 or 5 years has been in live events, because it's difficult with all the different streaming choices that we have now to aggregate significant audiences other than for significant events, sports being first among them because it's appointment viewing. I would imagine your clients want to be around those same activities because it attracts those eyeballs. So then how involved does your division get with events, with activations? So Worth Media Group covered the Super Bowl the last half a dozen years. And the team was telling me that they thought the one in Las Vegas was the best place to have a Super Bowl ever because of the infrastructure, all the hotels, all the venues. They said it was activations everywhere. And then they tell me that in New Orleans this past year, fun, nice, but jammed. And they really didn't have the opportunity for brands like you represent to do the activations they had in a different kind of venue. So your division gets very involved in those brands in terms of the live event things that they do?
Yeah, you operate at 3 levels. You operate at what is the branding that we're going to do in that event, space. Sometimes it's a journey from how do people access that space and the brands that how do we cover that space. Then you have a second level, which is what we call the one-to-many. It's the people that create some spaces where when people photograph themselves or see themselves, especially on social media, there is branding. So it's clear that we have a role into that event. And then a third level, which is you rarely just do an event itself without surrounding it with other things. If you're sponsoring the stadium in Vegas, for sure there'll be commercial space, frames, all the things around that. So those are the 3 ways that we operate with that.
Tell me something that's really surprised you, that went really, really well for you and your client, that was unexpected.
Something well for me and my clients. I think that the thing it wasn't one thing, it was one lesson. Because at some point we thought, and very much helped me get to a point that I got right now. We've gone through these years where we've been overwhelmed by complexity and technology. Everything that had to do with personalization of content. How do we get the right content to the right individual? It was, for people that came from a creative background, it was quite a different world than the world at the time. So very much we all just paid attention to the machine. And then there was a moment where we saw that the decisions that we made on the creative side had an exponential return on investment, but they were the right decisions. Meaning, I can talk about content that I did 5-10 years ago, and people remember that because there was some group of creative individuals that made a kind of creative decisions that people remember.
Yeah. And it's usually got an emotional hook in it.
And it has an emotional hook, and it's not something that can be replicated. It's the difference between a song and a number one and a hit.
It's when lightning strikes.
Which is why when we built Omnicom Production last year, we had like, what is an Northern Star? An Northern Star is going to be craft that works. It's not a world of technology. It's not a world of gratuitous creativity. It's creativity on the surface of performance. And trying to shape that is like, how do we have a team of people that makes those decisions that bring exponential ROI to clients beyond what they can get just with a programmatic media buy or something it was.
So you only work with large companies?
Primarily, but I mean, like
who else can afford to work with you?
It was a small company.
Until they started working with you.
Until they became a huge company.
How many people work in Omnicom Productions?
Right now, we have roughly 4,000 people.
4,000
in 12 countries. Yeah.
So do you still travel like a crazy person?
I used to. I don't do it anymore.
We did a class together for Dr. Bobbi Wegner up at Harvard a month or so ago. Yeah. And I remember you saying when we were together that you made the mistake of spending too much of your time, energy, and capital on globetrotting because you felt people needed to see you. And then you realized the most important thing you could do was build the team around you, the core team.
Absolutely.
And has that worked out now?
It's working well, and bringing the people. That doesn't mean that the team doesn't have to come together.
Yes.
But there is a space for people to come together. And something that we do regularly, not just on teams, but like physical, intense, condensed times where we spend 2-3 days together going through strategy, vision, what is the future of our product.
Yeah.
And having a balance of talking about the business and making sure they have good relationships among themselves to drive natural collaboration.
So it sounds to me, I'm guessing here, Sergio, that you think your business now is well positioned to withstand and maybe even capitalize on these technology changes that are accelerating around us. What impact do you see AI having on your business in the next 12 months?
In the next 12 months, it's going to have some impact. But what I'm interested in is what is the impact that it's going to have in 3 or 5 years. The reason why I say that is there is a big delay between what we can do with technology and the adoption of that technology. And we could do phenomenal things right now, but it's very difficult to bring all the stakeholders together to do it and people to really wrap their heads around it. The foundations of my business are very strong. I know as a fact that I have to transform my business in 3-5 years.
And it can't have 4,000 people in it.
It's not going to be a team of 4,000 people. It's going to have a different footprint. And it's actually going to do different things. Like when we talk about AI, a lot of the conversation is about what we do today with AI. As somebody who started as a filmmaker,
yes,
it took years to come up with things like a close-up.
You must be mouth open about the changes coming in film production.
Absolutely. But I was saying, like, when we went to the film camera, things like a close-up, it took years to do that.
Is that right?
It took like almost half a decade for people to say, if I put the camera close, because they were coming from theater, they were used to looking at that. Yeah. So when I look at what the conversations around AI, is I can do this shot that I used to do live, I can do it with this, or I can do this thing automatically. So, okay, but if you have all that amazing technology, would you even be doing that, or would you be doing something different?
Well, I think there are companies that, like in our, at the flowers companies, we're shooting product shots and we have studios around the country. I don't think we have them in a couple of few years because you can change this table, change the background. You can shoot the flowers once, And you change everything around it with your AI tools. You don't have to shoot it 30 times.
What flowers does somebody like? What is the moment?
Yes.
What is trending? Like that's what I mean. When you start looking at those permutations, and you wouldn't show them at tabletop, you would show them in situ. I mean, if you're talking about flowers, I think it's a great connection maker.
Yeah.
Right? It's always, it seems like they always have a reason to be there. Be able to show how those flowers will be in the moment. It's something that right now is very expensive to do with photography. Be able to do it in a different format, it will be a lot better.
Sergio, when we think about AI, we think about two things. One is things I can understand, efficiencies. You don't need 25 lawyers anymore. You need 5 lawyers with a good language model reviewing contracts. You can have less people in finance. That's efficiency stuff. I can understand that. But then there's the other side, capabilities. Look ahead as a filmmaker. What capabilities are going to come that change how people tell stories?
It's going to change. It's going to change a lot. Not just on what we do, but also who does it. You asked me at the beginning, where was I from? In Spain. In Spain, we never had the budgets that Hollywood had.
Sure.
And that was very limiting for both creatives, but also brands. Meaning, brands in Spain couldn't afford to have an epic commercial.
Yes.
In the way that we do here. That's not the case anymore. So it's
because the cost of production is flattening.
Cost of production, you couldn't have 100 horses running on the horizon. Right? Like that was, you have to do 2 and so yes, efficiencies for sure. The possibilities of creativity and where that creativity comes from. Mm-hmm. One of the things that I enjoy about my global role is having markets and getting to build that relationship. I can tell you there's fantastic creative minds or people that are have a lot of ingenuity in smaller markets. Mm-hmm. Even if you go to Africa.
That's where the real unlocks will be.
Yeah, it's like if you look at the Kenyan culture, so look at something totally left field, and the relationship that they have with Indian Bollywood movies.
Yes.
Like all of a sudden, if you give those people the tools to be able to express themselves without the limitations of a budget, it's great. So that's where the new formats are. The other thing is, yes, efficiencies, yes, creativity. The other one is understanding who we're talking to and what is the feedback. The ability of AI to process data and turn it into insights and be able to look at a lot of different complex sets of data and say, why does this person like this product versus that product, this time of the day versus that time of the day? On a brand like flowers, right? Like what are the trends from an individual point of view about the flowers that they want, when they want them, colors, occasions.
Yeah.
AI can triangulate data and give us that understanding and build more meaningful connections that we could otherwise.
One of the things that I say often in our shop is, we think we're selling flowers because we love our product. But what we're really selling is the smile on her face when she opens the package.
Absolutely.
That's what you're selling. But we're so hung up on our beautiful product. I said, tell me the payoff. Because we're all trying to achieve a deeper, better relationship. And so we try and get that into the shot.
But look at how everything plays, right? You can understand the relationship better, be able to understand the data, better to understand the insight, which then you have to express in a way that people understand, which is usually visually.
Yes.
Which through efficiencies is the only way to be able to do more and be able to achieve that scale. So those 3 things are very much connected with each other. And that's why it's people that have been able to bridge creativity, technology, and business that are able to navigate that space.
Sergio, your company's on the verge of a big merger that'll change the industry. How many big acquisition? Depends on which side of that you're on, right? And how many big holding companies will there be globally then? Half a dozen?
We're going through a period of consolidation.
Yes. There was just a story in the paper about Havas in a conversation.
They're having their own conversations. I think that we'll see a drastic reduction on holding companies and agencies in the next few years.
Yes. Will that fracture again because smaller shops can do so many things that only big shops used to be able to do?
I think that the smaller shops will be more focused on the brand strategy and creatives. Mm-hmm. We're going through a phase like what we went through 20-something years ago, when there is a requirement for heavy CapEx investment, technology investment, to be a modern marketeer. I think it's going to be very difficult for the smaller shops, independent shops, to be able to make
That capital expenditure.
7 or 8 figure investments on everything that you need, from data insights or data lakes, automation,
Yeah.
and technology partners. So I think it's gonna, the business which had a big holding company, it's mid-sized independent and very small shops, is going to become more fragmented between the big holding companies that require, that have the ability to invest in technology and capex, and very small specialty shops that are going to interact with clients on a one by one basis.
So will a holding company like yours, will they be open to working with those small shops? Let them plug into your infrastructure?
Yeah, that is happening already.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That is happening already, because it's not just one service. Those small shops play very much on the creative brand positioning, or campaign level. You see less and less of those shops playing in media or PR or production.
With the social media being as important as it is, influencers in particular, I'm thinking about. For a while, Nike seemed to just own the shoe market. And now I'm seeing my kids and grandkids are wearing other brands because they don't want to wear the brand. Will that continue to happen across the board? Will influencers give birth to new trends that become hot? Because you have influencers who has 7-8 million followers.
Yeah, and independent brands.
Mm-hmm.
The challenges for some of our FMCG brands right now is white label, and the smaller independent brands. Social media platforms like TikTok or Meta through Instagram, they're becoming retail channels. The amount of direct to purchase, and they're reinventing the funnel. Right?
Yeah.
Before, you had different channels, as you know, were very much had a role and a purpose in a very linear funnel.
Yeah.
Now, if you're on Instagram, you are going through awareness, consideration, and purchase within one Instagram post. That's just made in a matter of seconds, and just click right away.
Mm-hmm.
So so to your question, it's not just about backing up brands. I think that it's the type of brands that are going to back up. It's not the Nikes or the Hokas.
Adidas or
Adidas.
Hoka is an emerging brand still.
Be that small independent niche brand that's going to have a spike, maybe one product, and they sell, but the aggregation of that has a big impact on big brands.
So tell me, what are you excited about? A couple of things that, as you look ahead for the next year or two, get you excited about your day job.
I think what I'm excited about is and I know that we talk a lot about that. AI seems to be at a place where actually it's really unlocking, it's really ready for prime time, especially on the creative video film side. Models like VO from Google. In just 2 years, we've come from something. I remember the first demos that I got in 2022. It's like small photos. It's like, look at this small thing. It look weird. People have 6 fingers and they look like that. And now it's actually be able to create things. And we're seeing a whole community of prompters that are creating beautiful visuals. And it's not just bringing somebody else's vision to life. It's the worlds that they're creating are very interesting. And that's going to lead to something that I started talking about years ago when these technologies were coming, which is brands having their own world and creating a whole world around a brand. So it's not just about
buy my product,
the logo, buy my product. This is what my brand looks like. It's an expression, and you walk into this world, connecting back to experiential marketing. That is what you were talking about, and we're starting to see it in retail. When you go downtown to places like Printemps, the French retail store that opened here, it's an experience.
Yes,
it's not a place where you just go.
Oh, look at brands like RH, the furniture company. It's a restaurant. It's the real estate, what they put into those beautiful buildings. It's, oh, by the way, you can buy a couch while you're there.
So how is that translating to more and more brands? Not just on the experiential, but also on the way they talk about it. That's also
So you're excited about the future. I think it gets more interesting every day. I had lunch just here today with a fellow, Henry, who created a software package where if you gave a speech, he would, in minutes, do it in 12 different languages, and it would be tonally correct, context would be perfect, and people in Japan or China or Nigeria wouldn't be able to tell that you didn't speak the language natively. That's already here.
And And it's exciting, not just because of the languages that we know how to talk. When we do advertising in places like India, for example, there is hundreds of different languages in
Dialects, yeah.
and because they're so specific, there isn't usually enough literature translated to those markets. They don't have enough media that connects to those markets. So the opportunity that brings for people in those regions to watch movies, read books in those languages is fantastic. It's an exciting.
Okay, last bit of advice. I have 7 grandchildren. The oldest is 17, starting looking at colleges now. What should young people do now at school? What should they learn? What kind of experiences do they want to have?
I think apprenticeships. I think that once again, looking at the past to look at the future.
Yeah.
When we look at what people that were doing things complicated, exceptional craft, from cathedral building to wood making, there was a time where you would have young people working alongside very senior people. So it seems like the trend this month is talking about how AI is going to wipe junior employees and how we're only going to require senior.
It is concerning.
Which is concerning. And I think the alternative to that is going back to a model, which I actually think that is healthier in many ways, to have young people work alongside senior people in apprenticeships. Again, even in film days, you weren't allowed to touch a camera until you had been working next to a director of photography for 10 years.
Yeah. So
going back to that.
Start working. It's not just about class, and dunk your head in. It doesn't sound to me like going 4 years straight at college makes all the sense in the world. You want to go to school and then take Dr. Bobbi Wegner's class and really learn about leadership.
Exactly. That depends on what people study. If there is a doctor, I would love my doctor to go to medical school. In businesses like mine, in advertising or communications,
not so much.
Experience is something that is difficult to learn in college.
Bring on the smiles this holiday season with everyone's favorite buttercream frosted cookies and gifts even Santa's gonna love. Shop holiday gifts at Cheryl's.com.
One of the most popular classes at Harvard now?
I don't know about that, but I think
global students?
Global students, global distributed, people are all over the place. What I love about these classes is that everybody's working.
Yes.
Yeah, to your point, everybody's like out there doing something. So I'm learning so much more than I'm giving, I swear, because everybody's coming in being like, how do we use psychology to optimize our teams and workplaces? And they're bringing in real life problems and we're effectively solving it together. Yeah. And so I also teach in the School of Education. It's a different kind. I don't want to say, I like the other classes better, but it's fun, it's different when people are actually doing work and trying to solve real problems in real time.
What I liked is when we got to work together with you to hear the students problem solving as a group together.
Best. Yeah. Yeah, and that's what, you were saying like apprenticeships, and that's the way it is. And so I think, I'm on the innovation board at Boston College High School too, and we're building out like an entrepreneurship program and thinking about how to get kids at even a younger age into organizations to be interns and apprentices and start actually thinking about building companies at a much younger age. And like, how do you even do that? Because nobody teaches you that.
I was so thrilled. Sunday we have 3 in my family, 3 birthdays within 10 days. So my daughter's trying to organize us, and so finally the only time we could all get together was brunch on Sunday, and it was very nice. But then my son, James, told me that my second youngest grandchild, 7, is using ChatGPT. He wants to build his own business, and ChatGPT is building him a business plan. He says he is so into this. I was thrilled to hear it.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have those skills early, you're going to get left behind.
Absolutely.
Yeah, my daughter, who's 12, she's like, hey, Mom, can you help me build a logo for my company? So we're in Claude, like, designing a logo. She wants to put it on her. She just learned how to email this year, but now she has a logo underneath her.
It's interesting. You were asking me, like, going to school. I think that it's very difficult to learn, especially as I was going into leadership, how to deal with some situations that I don't know how they could be modeled into a case study, like things that happen. And I'm sure that I would imagine that you would have even more experiences like that as a founder.
Well, if we could only eliminate the people, our job would be a lot easier.
Or you could just hire groups. Give me all your people problems.
So tell our audience what Groups is.
Yeah, so We're really modeled after like a team psychology concepts. Think about professional sports teams or elite sport teams. They have team psychologists embedded in the team to assess team health and functioning, cohesion, alignment, all the things. And so we're basically democratizing that. How do we bring high quality psychologists at scale to all teams? And I think you know, and I think you might know Sergio, but we're through Harvard's Institute of Quantitative Social Science. Now we're actually building out agentic team psychologists too. So part of why I was tucked away in the corner was we're on a product meeting, being like, what are we actually measuring? What data are we sharing? Like, what does this even look like? But imagine if all teams had a team psychologist. That's a real live team psychologist when needed, and then an agentic one to nudge behavior in between.
Like the performance expert on the show Billions.
So Wendy Rhodes, right? Democratizing Wendy Rhodes, but you know, she was very much focused on one-on-one, and especially in this context, connectivity and cohesion in sort of the world of AI and a distributed workforce and cross-generational dynamics and global uncertainty at all moments. Like, connection and cohesion are the thing that's going to drive outcomes. So how do you measure that? How do you support that? You know?
Well, it's certainly needed more than ever. And I think that the dynamics of the workplace now with some remote, working globally like you do all the time, I think that the need is greater than ever to have professional coaching to get the best out of people and to find those problems before they become things that boil up to your attention.
Yeah, and make it accessible to everybody. So the problem is with coaching, it's an unregulated field, so quality control's all over the place, and it's hard to scale, right? And so, and also what do you do in between the coaching sessions? And often a lot of the coaching offerings are focused on one-on-one. So how do you get this in everybody's hands to improve culture? How do you make it affordable, and how do you make it consistent? I think that's where AI...
And what I find fascinating about what you're saying is you're not just looking at coaching, but usually is, as you say, one-on-one.
Yeah.
Is how do you tackle the interactions?
Exactly. It's so connections, like the connective tissue between us, like, I like you, you seem like a good guy, like, you know, but cohesion is like the alignment. So are we willing to stay on this team together? Like, do we see a clear vision of what we're building? Both are really important, and we're at this stage in our society where AI is doing a lot of good, but it's eroding those touch points. So teams are feeling more lost than ever, you know, and even distribution, great, we can be flexible, but now we have less of those relational touch points. So it's not really surprising that we're having retention problems, engagement problems, all these things, because we don't have those relational touch points, and we're relational animals.
You're absolutely right, because one of the things that I'm seeing, especially with younger, I think it's the politically correct term, with younger generations, is with people of, with Gen X's, it seems like when there was a problem at the end of the day, it's like, oh, let's get together and figure it out.
Exactly.
There is that thing of like, we know that if let's go for lunch, or let's grab a drink, or let's go and figure it out. What I'm seeing in the younger generations within my teams, there is not that there isn't that methodology of like, we do need to sit down, because they grew up in a world of texting and emailing, and sometimes not even calling on the phone, right? Like,
Totally.
And they don't know how to get to a point where they can resolve those things. I think that we rely more on teams. Sometimes it's HR or coaches to actually help those people be able to align.
Yeah, and now I think they're also going to ChatGPT. Like, if we had some kind of problem in the workplace, I'd be like, how do I approach Sergio? And then I'm going to probably copy and paste an email that you're going to get. You're going to be like, this isn't even genuine. Like,
I'm fascinated about that, by the way, like people creating their own agents.
Yeah.
And how we're going to the world that agents are connecting with agents. And at what point people are aware what their own agents are talking to.
Oh, yeah.
Well, in the mundane world of relationships, when people want to send a gift, flowers or a food gift, we have to think of agents in two realms. A, we're going to have our retail agents, our personas, and then we have to have an agent that's a wholesale agent that's attractive to your persona, because your persona is going to say, who do I want to work with on this? And we have to make sure that we have the right ingredients here that make us attractive to your agent.
Totally.
So it's two-sided, that agent world that we have to think about, and your clients have to think that way, I would assume.
100%.
Sergio, we're talking about Bobbi having this virtual class that's global. when we're here at an event, Worth Media Group's Techonomy, where we convene people. Didn't happen so much during COVID. I'm sure it had a huge impact on your world. What role for gatherings, for convening people, for your brands in the future? Activations, be where they are. How does that become more important in a fractured kind of attention world?
I mean, it really depends on the category, on getting people together. Like, remember that brands, we have brands from big automotive brands to FMCG detergent brands.
Yeah.
So there is and in the middle we have beauty and hospitality. So there's a lot of different ones, and each one of them has a different role, and even what experiential activation getting together means.
Yeah.
Sometimes we see that even small brands and expected brands, they find a way of getting their community together through unexpected ways. Passion groups or people that relate to each other. At some critical moments where they make those decisions. And so it really varies from client to client.
Let me ask you both a question. I was watching Secretary of Treasury Bessent over the weekend talking about, I'll simplify it, but he said half the population owns 100% of the stock in this country. The other half has debt. So his 10% owns 88% of the stock market value, 40% owns the other 12, and 50% have debt. With the breadth of students you see, with the breadth of clients you deal with, do you get concerned about this bifurcation, this polarization of the haves and the have-nots?
Yeah. Is it really a thing?
I don't know.
I think that it might be more inequality that we've seen in the last 3 decades. If I go a little bit further, if I go 7 or 8 decades, I don't think that
there wasn't a middle class.
It wasn't a middle class, right? And it was the people that now we call poor people couldn't afford a lot of the things that now we take for granted. And right, so when I talk about concerning, I don't think that is great, but it's not a new phenomenon. It's not a new phenomenon.
Is the middle class shrinking? U.S., non-U.S.?
I think that
You grew up rich there, working at Dad's garden center, driving a tractor on weekends.
I learned how to drive a Bobcat when I was in 3rd grade and how to get up and pick, I don't know the answer to your second question, like, is the middle class shrinking? I do feel like, right when you said that, my mind went to like Maslow's hierarchy of need, right? And like, I think right now at the state we're in, people don't feel safe for a whole bunch of different reasons in the world. There's a whole bunch.
Say financially, physically.
Everything. Yeah. Like, you could be walking down the street and ICE person's going to jump out and grab you. Like, it's like literally there's like financial instability, global instability. Things aren't feeling good for people, right? So with that, I think people are moving down at a larger scale, down Maslow's hierarchy of need, right? So if you were like scraping your way up and you got there and then all of a sudden you lost your job, or now you're just like moving down a rung. And I'm seeing that for sure in the classes. Like the classes are big. This one's I think 220 or 225 right now. And I've got a number of emails from people like, hey, I can't, I'm like depressed, I can't manage class. We had a couple military people reach out and say I was getting a master's in org psych and we just lost our funding. So I just can't take this class because I can't pay for it. I don't even know if my past funding is going to be. So there's a lot of like that kind of tone that feels new and different than in years past.
I see. And from a marketing point of view, do you have to?
I think that the middle class is definitely shrinking.
Is it? Yeah.
I think that
because luxury goods people doing quite well now, right?
Yeah, but I mean, like luxury goods people, the entry point for luxury goods is going up.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So there is, what we see is lower class, and again, depends on when you choose that moment in time. Would we look at the level of poverty has changed from where it used to be, and what is understood from minimum, right? Like it's changed a little bit. Lower class, it's becoming smaller, and there's a big gap between the upper middle class and the upper class.
Yes.
And that 1%, and that's what we're seeing across multiple. So it's not to your point, like things like investing in education or some things that people could afford a decade ago that were providing that mobility from middle class to upper class. that's where we're seeing a big gap in jobs.
I asked a question of Andrew Yang this morning about, I was talking to a student and a professor from St. John's University, student graduating this year, professor of special ed. And we were talking about all the young people I'm hearing from who have graduated and can't get a job. I think we're in for a period of dramatic disruption. I think on the other side, I don't know how long that is, 3, 4, 5 years. I think our mindsets for what the career pathing looks like is going to be a lot more fluidity, a lot more ambiguity. Not you go to work for this company, you work there for 8 or 10 years, maybe you move on, maybe you don't. I think that is going to be challenged, but also creates a lot of opportunity.
I was going to say, don't you think that that's going to lead to a spark into entrepreneurship?
I think it has
That's where
to.
my mind went.
On the other side is what you were talking about your daughter. It's never been easier to get information about how to open your own company, right? I think of a young individual of 22, 23 years old, information that they can obtain about how to open a business and what kind of help and subsidies.
In the
they
business
can get.
plan, it'll build for
The
them.
business plan will be built for them.
And the product too.
I was reading this weekend. I think
Your
it was,
daughter having her own logo already.
right? I was reading about like how restaurant owners are using AI to optimize their restaurant operations, right? Which is bringing expertise to people that otherwise might not be like a cook or not be an expert running a business. So I'm hoping that there's going to be a spark on a small business and an entrepreneurship, as opposed to people thinking that, okay, I go to college and then I'm going to go to a corporate environment working for a company.
Being the grandfather of a 17-year-old looking at colleges now, when I think about it, I almost don't care what she studies. It's all about, does she create a community of friends that'll last her lifetime? Will she be a joiner and join a bunch of things and clubs and sports and activities and volunteer to grow as a person? That's why I'm such a fan of the idea of a year of service for everyone who graduates from high school. Now, let's close out with you, Bobbi. You have these 220 amazing people from around the world. What gets you excited about the interaction you have with them every day?
But I mean, it's totally selfish. I'm learning, right? So I feel so lucky to do the work I do because I'm just like getting it. Everything psychology. It's like how people are engaging. So I'm doing that sort of on my company side, but then I step in a class, and I'm like, these are operators from all different countries, all different places, trying to figure out how to optimize. I'm like, what are you seeing? What are you trying? And then it's a sharing of ideas. Yeah. And so every class I walk away with new learnings.
Good for you. So if someone wanted to get in touch with this crazy outfit called Groups, how do they do that?
Yeah, so joingroups.com.
How do you spell Groups?
I know, 2 O's, so we got to change this. Your branding mind is like, God, get a new website, lose the 2 O's. But it's joingroups.com.
Good. Sergio, thanks for joining us today. I think your world is a fascinating one. I think the change is going to be enormous. You look like you're excited by the prospect of all that change, and we can't wait to be cheering from you as you finish your acquisition.
Wait, which one, right? Isn't that like?
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you, guys.